Oh, I've had too many noodles. This is my orange baboon tarantula, or the OBT. This is the one that I got from Russell of RS Designs. I've had it now for over a month or so at the moment, and it's doing really well. I believe it's molted out because it looks quite a good size, to be honest. Sorry guys, I'm just wandering around my room doing stuff at the same time. Um, yeah, it seems a nice little size. I've just sat this on my and it comes out quite a lot. It's quite happy to sit out content. Let me take this camera a bit closer so you can have a little look. Beautiful spider. Now, once again, these are a old world spider from Africa. These are a terrestrial, semi-arboreal, semi-fossorial. They're quite adaptable, in other words, that they can do a number of sort of things. They can sort of burrow. They can they do like to climb a little bit, and they also like to sort of just be a terrestrial spider and sit out. There he goes. That's because I'm moving about. He saw my shadow because I'm just getting him some food. So we're going to feed the baby today. It's feeding day, so I'm just getting a little cricket for him. Yeah, these are again. These do not possess any hurting like the other baboon I've got, the golden blue leg baboon. These do not possess any urticating hairs. They do have a more medically significant venom. I do believe that their bite can be quite painful. I've not experienced it, but people reported it can be quite painful. So you don't want to take a bite from one of these, and you're not going to take a bite on one of these if you're going to be respectful to it and treat your spider like every other sort of spider that you have. If you treat them fine, they are not going to bite you. Like you saw there, my little OBT, whose name is Walter, saw my shadow and just hid itself in his little hide. You can see I've set mine up in a kind of terrestrial and sort of arboreal sort of setup. I've set it up like I've set up my GBB pretty much. And if you set yours up like GBB, it can't really go wrong. So they say that they do sort of appreciate that sort of option, and make sure they've got a nice bit of ground space. It's another cool thing. They're like, sorry guys, I'm just playing around with the beetles next door. Next to this one, I've got my death feigning beetles, and I've got a few sort of fruit flies in there at the moment. They are, but it's my own fault because I put some apple in the enclosure last night, and I should have learned from that last time I put a bit of apple in there. I've got loads of these little fruit flies. Don't know where they come from, but there we go. Anyway, back to the OBT. Yep, they are from Africa. Now they do like a mixed sort of environment. They're very adaptable. They can live on a dry, they can live on a damp. I keep mine in. I haven't done anything to the enclosure since I put this substrate in. I provide a water bowl which will help with humidity in there, but I leave my spider to it because I know that these species do like just to be left to it pretty much. So that's what I've done with me spider. And it's set up very well. This one is in a 20 by 20 by 30 enclosure. Now they do grow to quite a decent size. They can grow up to about sort of 5 inches. I will judge on my spider. They get that, and they can be a bit smaller than that. So I'm judging the size of the spider about rehousing it. If I feel it's quite content in that and it's got all it needs and there's plenty of space for it to move about, we'll wait and see. Before I housed it in this, I spoke to a few people that have kept the OBTs, Dave's little beasties and that, and they all said it's a perfect little setup for it. So I'm keeping it in here for a while. I'm going to try and hopefully see how it does in this enclosure. So I keep it relatively dry with a little bit of dampness in there, and I add a water bowl to help keep so it can have a drink and for its humidity. And then I'll leave the spider alone. That's pretty much what I do with my spider. It's feeding wise, this is a great little eater. I tend to feed it small to medium sized crickets 2 to 3 times a week, depending on, you know, if it's sitting out quite a bit. If it's sitting out quite a bit, I will offer it more food. If it's not out, then I won't. I tend to feed my spiders when I see them. That's the way. That's my sort of philosophy on it. If I see them, I'll feed them. If I don't, then I tend to not to, unless it's been a while. So what I'm going to do now is drop a cricket in there. So there we go, food's in there. And of course the food's gone straight into underneath that hide. But the spider knows it's there. So let's bring this over a little bit for you. Sorry about the glare, guys. Here it comes, look. Yeah, sorry about the glare. Not a lot I can really do about that. This glass is quite clean. So it knows that there's a cricket in there. It can feel the movement. It's a good little eater. See, I did provide it with a hide down there, like a terrestrial hide. Never really used it. But it's trapped its little dinner in there at the moment, as you can see. These are another really fast spider, so be aware. Are these a beginner species? Most definitely not. I wouldn't advise anyone to get one of these until you've had a bit more experience with spiders, especially quick ones. Not because any other reason apart from they are fast. As I said, I've had no defensive behaviour from this spider. It would rather hide than be defensive to me. And I think a lot of that's down to providing it with good husbandry. If you provide it with the house that it likes, you're giving it no reason to behave in that way towards you. But I would not recommend getting one until you've got some experience in spiders. And do realise that this spider, if backed into a corner, it will come defensive. They're not afraid to be defensive against you. And you don't want to be taking a little hit from one of these guys. I mean, this one is, you know, it's like a small juvenile. And I still would want to take a hit from that size, to be honest. It's not going to be very nice, and it's going to upset your day. And if you do have any medical issues, obviously you could need to seek medical help. So I wouldn't want to take a hit from one. But like I said, if you're respectful to your animal, you give it plenty of what it needs, leave it alone. There's no reason that spider is going to act out to you. I can walk past there and the spider won't flinch because he knows that I'm not going to cause him any harm. Sometimes when I open the lid of the little feeding hatch that I've got on the top of its enclosure, it will rush into its little home. But that's the only thing it ever does. But yeah, it quite happy. Like I'm just closing the lid there, and it's quite happy, just not even paying me any attention. So they're a cool little spider. They really, really are. Again, it's one of those spiders I was like and ahhing about, and everyone says, "Oh, Joff, you need to get one. They're beautiful," and they are. They're stunning. The oranges are just so bright orange. It's just such a beautiful spider. So if we come over again, you know, it's such a beautiful spider. And the pattern on top of the canopy is really beautiful too. It's just sitting there waiting for that cricket to come out. The cricket's hid itself down into the hide there because he knows that spider's waiting for him. So the spider will wait. It's a waiting game. But that gives the spider something to do, doesn't it? It's enrichment. Just plonking a spider in front, a bit of a cricket or something in front of your spider is not giving it any enrichment. It's not having to look for its food. It's not having to hunt for it. You know, that gives that spider that enrichment that it needs. That sort of like that they would do if they were wild. You know. So try and give your spider that enrichment if you can. So there we go. That's the OBT. So I've given you a bit of care about it. So you can keep it on dry, you can keep it on wet and damp. Make sure you provide it a water bowl. Keep it in a terrestrial setup with semi-arboreal sort of options, just like a GBB, because it will web it up and it will use it. Provide it with food. This size, small to medium crickets, 2 to 3 times a week. Every 2 to 3 days I'll feed it. When it's an adult, it will go on to the larger crickets and the red runners, and it will be fed once a week. So let's give a shout out to a few YouTubers before I leave the channel. First of all, I'd give a shout out to Mark the Spider Guy, Peter Webster, RS Designs, Amy's Web, Spider Mum 1978, Incredible Inverts and Other Animals, Tea in the Deep Blue Sea, Unusual Pets, Unseen Universe, Robbie's Talking Teas and the Arachnids, Tom's Big Spiders, Dave's Little Beasties, Tarantula Collective, Eddie's Bug Babies. All these amazing channels, guys. Moon Over Miami. Please go and check them all out for me. And I'm sure they'd really appreciate if you give their channel a subscription. Anyway, guys, let's leave little Walter to it. He knows where his dinner is. We've had a good old look at him, and I've given him a little bit of a chance to do a featured species on him. And he seems well settled in and happy there, doesn't he? So we'll leave him to it. And until next time, you look after yourselves, you look after one another, and I really hope that I'll see you all soon.